Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
Great.
Hi, Caroline. Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Hi.
Can you hear us well and see us? Let's see. I see people joining. Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Perfect. I can see that everyone sees us and hear us.
Perfect.
Let's get started.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. And I'm Nora, founder of Alba Health. And today we have Caroline Roxy, who is a super woman and super mom, internationally known DJ, singer, but also maybe not many people know that you're also a pediatric nurse.
Yeah,
You're also mom, and now you're part of Alba as well.
that's right.
And Caroline now is the head of our user advisory board. We'll tell you more about that.
Yeah.
But first of all, let's start with you, Caroline. Tell us more about yourself and how you went from being a singer to pediatric nurse and your journey in health.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a big question. So when I got pregnant, that is like when my real interest in health started, because I had another life inside of me. So I was like, okay, what do I need to eat now? And yeah, it continued like after giving birth, like what should I eat like when I'm breastfeeding and so on. So that is like where my health interest really came alive. And also it was like I've been working with music for a long time, and I still do, and I love it. But when I got pregnant, I was really fascinated about like pregnancy, and like I think a lot of like women thinks like, okay, I'm gonna be a midwife now, like after giving birth. But that was like my first intention. So I started to study to become a nurse when my daughter was 3 months, because it was also the pandemic. So I couldn't like go out DJ and like anything. So it was like a good time to jump into study. And I had this urge to like help other people. Um, and yeah, but then when I started to work as a nurse, I was working in the NICU with these little babies, and I found out that it was actually the babies that I was more fascinated about than like children. And yeah, so I'm very into like children health and to do everything for the children to like to be as good as possible.
That's amazing. What a story.
I tried to make it short, but it's like a long story. But
yeah, definitely. I forgot to say, if you guys have any questions, write them in the chat. I'll be checking them and we can answer things live. Of course, it's a Q&A for you guys as well.
Yes.
And how did you learn, because you know so many things about health.
Yeah.
How did you learn them? Did you get them like through doctors, midwives, or was it your own interest? Like, how did you learn all of those things?
Well, I think it was like my own interest in the beginning. I have been like reading a lot of stuff and like listening to podcasts, and like the interest for health just grew bigger, and like I'm even like into biohacking. So I'm like a real health geek now. I'm still like during the evenings I have this like blue light glasses on, looking like a freak. But yeah, like I've been like as a sponge, like just taking every advice, and because I realized how important it is. First, it was like because of like having a baby, like I had like that responsibility. But I also feel like I hated to sleep. When I was younger, I was like, yeah, but that is just in vain. Like you just lose time and whatever. But then when I got my second kid, you couldn't like fool around anymore because I felt like, okay, I have to have all my energy for my kids. So then I was like, yeah, keeping my room cool and dark, and like going to bed in time. And now I'm like always like up 5 a.m. in the morning and like meditating. And it changed. Like I had a lot of energy before, but when you have two kids and they can wake up during the night and you don't know, then I just understood that also is important. So like bits and pieces like just came together, and I felt like, yeah, this is what health is. Like you have to put in the effort also like for sleep and things like that.
And it's so crazy that you have such a busy life and
Yeah.
you're traveling around, you do concerts and you're DJing and you have 2 kids, but you still manage to do so many things for their health. A lot of people, or like we hear from a lot of parents, I would like to take better choices, but we're busy, we have a demanding job, there's so many things we're doing, it's not always possible. And to some extent it's true,
Yeah.
we cannot be perfect, and yeah, perfection doesn't exist.
No.
But there are still a lot of things that can be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
What are your biggest tips or, reflections?
I think like parents that hasn't put in the effort to like really improve their food and so on, they think that it's a lot of work or like it's really, really difficult, and like then they don't maybe even try because they think it's like it's such a big step. Like I can't even manage now, like things like that. But as you say, it's more like about the small parts, and like for every like habit you learn, you could just add on, so you don't have to do everything at once. That
Yeah.
is like the first thing I think. Like it can't go for like from one thing to like being perfect, as you say, but that's not the goal. And also I think like it doesn't need to take so much time, like the things you do. And obviously it depends like what age your children are, but I say just include them, like because a lot of people say like, but I can't cook because I have to take care of my kids, or they just give them the screen because I have to cook. But I think like just include them in the kitchen. Like if they are a little kid, they can just sit there and play around like with whatever. But then they can also be there and like look and taste and like help out, because then you can do the food, but you can also spend time together, and they also learn, and they can get like more interested in other kind of food when they are with you.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. And also like when we're talking, I mean we'll talk more about that later, but we're talking like to make food for the gut health. Some things are so easy to add, like like nuts and seeds and beans. It takes like 30 seconds for you to add it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like this time consuming stuff. And also I know that's not a popular thing to say, but I believe that a lot of parents that say they don't have time to cook could easily take away 30 minutes of scrolling from their phone, like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you put your time? And it doesn't have to take that long time either.
Yeah.
Like me myself, I do a lot of meal preps, and like that is also an easy way to do it. Like you could have like sweet potato and you cut it up and you pre-cook them, and you just put it in the refrigerator, and then when you're going to do the dinner, you already have that pre-made. And you could do the same with vegetables, so the only thing you have to add is like the protein, and that would take like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could have like base like prepared in your refrigerator that lasts for a couple of days, so you don't have to cook from scratch every day.
Yeah, I do the same.
Yeah.
And it was the same for me because, many know that I had very severe eczema and then I reversed that.
Yeah.
But getting to the diet that I have today took many years.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wasn't like an immediate change. Also because I was, I'm Italian, so I used to eat so much bread and pasta.
Yeah.
And now I eat completely differently.
Yeah.
Without feeling restricted in any way. But it took me time to get where I am now.
Yeah, of
it
course.
wasn't like a complete
You have
switch.
to do it in baby steps. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And not many people know that gut health and food for children in the first years of life can affect them later life.
No, exactly.
For the rest of life.
Yeah.
But you knew that.
Yeah.
How did you find out about it?
No, that's a good question. As I said, I just have done so much research, and like, yeah, I think like first I did a lot of like health tests for my own sake, just for fun, because I got the interest, and then I was like to optimize everything, and it became an interest. So that's why I was like researching a lot.
Yeah.
But then I've also like been because I also found that like some parents, they know what to eat for themselves, but then they think like, but kids won't eat this, so they still give them like pre-made stuff because they are kids. But I thought from the beginning, like I want them to eat what I eat. That also a way to save time because you don't have to cook two meals.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't have to put like all the spicy things on in the beginning for the kids, but you could still like eat the same.
Yeah.
I think I lost my point. What was the question again? Where I find out about it. Yeah, exactly. No, I think it was like I just did it for myself, and then when I started reading about it, and then I actually bumped into Alba.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's for kids now, and I was super happy because, yeah, you know, I really was curious to check out like what my children's gut health looked like.
Yeah. What did you expect before trying Alba or think?
I mean, since I put a lot of like effort in, I hope it was going to be good. So I had in mind, I thought that like my son would it would turn out good, and but my daughter, she had to get antibiotics for a UVI quite recently, so I had in mind that hers wouldn't be as good because you know it takes also the good bacteria out. So yeah, that's what I was expecting.
Yeah, and we did it first for your son.
Yeah.
And when we got the results, we also looked at them, and it was like one of the best gut microbiomes we've ever seen. And for those who don't know, so we test the gut microbiome in children. That is the collection of microbes in a child's gut. And that's very important because it's associated to health, both in that moment, but also later in life. Can be associated to things like constipation or eczema or allergies. And yeah, when we saw the results for your son, they were so good.
Yeah, I know.
And we were like, this is so amazing.
Yeah, I almost started crying when I got the results. I was like, oh my God, it really pays off.
So what did you do? Tell us your secrets.
I have like from the beginning, I have been very like letting them taste like everything, like in form of like different vegetables and plants and stuff, instead of like keeping to like cucumbers and tomatoes. I added like everything in from the beginning. So I think that has made a big difference because my son, he's 3, he can like go to a refrigerator and like look in like what do I want, and he's like, it's no joke, he's like, I want like the cabbage or like the Brussels sprout or whatever, and that is what he wants to eat. So they eat like a lot of that, like broccoli and cauliflower and like a lot of different like kind of vegetables, so it's diverse. I think that is like one main thing. And also like they are not afraid to taste like new things, and like ever since like we started to go to restaurants when they were like 2 years old, they have always had like from the adults menu. Yeah, because I remember especially one time that I think like my son was only like a bit more than 1 year, I think. So he was getting some kind of like kids dish or whatever. And I was having salmon with potatoes and Brussels sprouts. And he like leaned over and had from only from my plate. So he was like, no, I want to eat this stuff. So I think, yeah, introducing like a lot of different flavors and always like adding and make them try different things, because in the beginning maybe it doesn't taste good, but you just offer it. And also one really good hack is to offer them like a plate of that before dinner. So like if they're super hungry and they sit waiting, like they will eventually like, okay, what is this, maybe I will try it. And it works, like at least it did for us, so I think that's good.
So many good points. I have so many follow-up questions now.
Yeah, I'm so like I have so much passion for this, so I can just ramble on.
Yeah. So one great point you made was about the fact that if children try a lot of flavors early on, they're more likely to like those things later. So there was this amazing study in Sweden, in the north of Sweden. It's a clinical study by the University of Umeå, and they saw that children, let's say from 8 months until 18 months, the ones that eat more vegetables in that time are more likely to eat more vegetables later, but also to have less gut stomach symptoms. So what we know from science is that if they get used to these flavors early on, that's what they remember later. So it's really an investment also for life.
Yeah, definitely. I believe I also read like from science that like your gut bacteria like would ask for more. Like if you have like the gut bacteria that like likes broccoli or whatever, you would like you want broccoli, like you want to have more of it.
Exactly, that's very fascinating. Some even say that we're a bit like slaves of our bacteria, gut bacteria, because if we eat, for example, a lot of sugar and a lot of white carbs, there are some types of bacteria that will grow a lot because they grow on that.
Exactly, and then you would like more of that.
Exactly, and then they actually send signals to your brain and cravings on that. And I can totally relate to that because I had the same. I used to eat so many white carbs and bread and pasta and everything, and I could not imagine living without.
No.
But now that I changed my diet completely, I almost, if I have something like that, I almost cannot digest it super well, or like I really don't want it.
No.
Or maybe just a bite from it, but I don't enjoy it in the same way.
No.
So that's really fascinating. Wondering if the guys that are watching also knew about this, because not everyone knows about it.
No, it was news to me, but I could also like relate that it really works, since like my kids like, oh, I want to eat these vegetables or whatever, like they really want to taste it again. So
yeah, and the other point you made that was really interesting was about diversity.
Yeah.
Because one of the key principles for gut health and gut microbiome is that we have trillions of bacteria in our gut, and they're all different and they do different things. So if we want a healthy gut, we need to eat a lot of fiber, so which is vegetables, fruit, but also legumes, nuts and seeds, everything that comes from a plant, basically. And the more diversity we have and variety, the better it is, because then we're feeding different types of bacteria.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I speak to people about gut health, they say, oh yeah, but we eat vegetables, but
it's cucumber.
I always ask them, but how many do you eat? And a lot of people start counting and they're like, oh, maybe 7 or 8 in a week. And they say, it's too little, because they say we should eat 30 in a week or aim for 30 in a week. And now I have maybe 15 in one meal because I add so many things. And as you said, it's not just about removing things, but it's also about adding things, which is actually easier.
Yeah.
Because you can have
That's
things
a great first step. Like you just add
Exactly.
some different stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So I would challenge everyone also that is watching to count like how many fibers are you eating in your family, and can you improve that? And we have also a blog post about that on like these kind of hacks. Let me just quickly check if we have any questions.
Yeah, I mean that is also like the thing that you say, like the gut bacteria you have would crave more, like from that specific bacteria. So that is like something I also done. Like I haven't like used to like white sugar or whatever from the beginning. So my kids, they don't ask for it.
Yeah.
So like when I do like a muffin, like a cupcake or whatever, I could do it like with just like oats and eggs and carrots and a little bit of banana.
Yeah.
And they like, oh my God, this is so good, because they are not used to have these like super sugary things.
Right.
So that is a good thing to do from the beginning as a parent, because if they don't get used to it, they won't ask for it.
Yeah.
And they could like really appreciate like this kind of like cupcake, but with only like natural ingredients.
Yeah.
That is the thing, because I mean, like I was in that generation that I grew up with like sugary cereals, but like our parents maybe didn't know as much. But that is like, then of course you will crave like sugar, and then you get like your energy will go up and then it will drop down, and then, like it's like a roller coaster, and then you will crave for more. So yeah, that is also good advice. Just like you don't introduce like a lot of sugar, just make like snacks that is like, it could be like a cozy snack, but it doesn't have to be a lot of sugar, because kids will enjoy it either way.
Exactly. And there was a recent study that showed that sugar in the first 2 years of life gives a higher risk of obesity and diabetes later.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of studies that show that. It's also not recommended to give sugar below 2 years old in Sweden. But then what are your tips for treats? Like what do you do then for your kids in terms of
Yeah, I
sweets?
mean that is like not an easy like advice, because as I say, my kids can like easily go for like having a vegetable to snack
Yeah.
on. But then like if I wanted to give like something else that you could do, like you can bake, but you can use like bananas, and you can add like a little bit of dates or whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be much, because they will still appreciate it. Like
Yeah.
I often bake, like it could easily just be like a dinner, but for them they get a
Yeah.
snack, you know. Um, and yeah, and you can like have like cinnamon on, and you can have like coconut flakes on and whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that is also like a good habit to introduce to the kids, that like a snack doesn't need to be like a dessert, like sugar
Yeah.
rush thing. Because now I don't know that if that's a good thing, but now like my kids, they are like so used to having like a dessert every day, but like the dessert can be like carrot sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my daughter can be like, oh, what do we have today? And I'm like, oh, carrot stick. Like, yay! So super happy. So I mean, it's a treat like every day, but it's something good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just about habits, and I think they also will bring it later on in life, like when they are going to sit down and like snack while watching TV. It doesn't have to be like that sugar thing. It could
Yeah.
be like, yeah. So
Exactly.
I think we just need to like step away from it. Has to be like candy and sugar and so on,
Yeah.
because it doesn't like really.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, they don't have any baseline
No,
basically with their kids.
exactly.
Like they don't know what's all of these things that are in our society. So for them, everything is new.
Yeah,
So that's very smart.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and then like if it's a birthday or something, of course they can have cake, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like something that is needed like every weekend or
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. And you also had another great point, which was on offering things and putting them on a table maybe before dinner.
Yeah.
What do you do? Because so many parents tell us, yeah, but I offer the vegetables, but they don't want them.
Yeah.
So what do you do in those cases?
I have often just said like, okay, but you can taste if you want to. Like they don't need to taste it. And then I have also like recently, as I told you, I have tried a little game.
Yeah.
Where they get like now I just put like another game, so they can like put in a little bullet like for everything they taste.
Yeah.
So then they think it's something funny. And interesting, and like I said, like if they taste something several times, they will get like adjusted to it and like start to like it. So now we are like onto like kimchi and sauerkrauts and stuff like that. That's a bit hardcore, but yeah, it works. So you
Yeah.
have to make it fun, and like yeah, you can do it in a lot of different ways, but also you can like combine the taste with something that they already like.
Yeah.
Then it also will be easier for them to like try it.
I guess it's also a bit like from psychology. It's easier maybe to have something that is like their idea
Yeah.
rather than saying you have to do this.
Mhm.
Then it's like a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
perhaps. So maybe if you put things kind of in a low pressure environment, maybe just put things pesticides.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have like the dirty dozen thing.
Yeah.
Like some vegetables you should really not
Yeah.
try to eat, like
Yeah.
if they're not organic, and others are like
Yeah.
better.
Exactly. I would definitely say that fiber is still there
Yeah.
and there's a lot of nutrients there. And yeah, as you say, Caroline, there are some lists out there every year that
Yeah.
is called like the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
that
The
is like
clean 15, I think.
the
Yeah,
clean 15. So
exactly. So then you can like research and like some things you don't actually have to buy organic
yeah,
because it's not so much in it, but some things, if you
yeah,
can, you should like choose the organic one.
yeah,
But it's a tricky situation because I always think about that as well because I mean, you get the good things from the vegetables
yeah,
and you don't want to have too much
yeah,
pesticides, but that is like forever like going question because it's like things toxic things everywhere and you just have to like just do
yeah,
your best. Yeah,
exactly. Also, it's good not to stress too much about it, but yeah, just to, as you say, like try to go for the ones that are less affected by
yeah.
pesticides. Perhaps maybe take out the peel,
Hmm.
because sometimes it accumulates a lot outside.
Yeah,
But I would say, like, still incorporating vegetables is still really important.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I mean, that's an amazing, a really good point because our food system is a bit set up against us
Yeah,
sometimes. And it's not like, for a lot of us, it's hard to take the healthy choice because it's harder than taking the
yeah,
more convenient
yeah,
one.
yeah,
So it's nobody's fault in a way. We also need to accept that to some extent we are living in this society, and there are some things that we cannot control.
yeah,
For example, I mean, we have amazing air quality, but in some places that's not the case.
exactly.
But maybe you cannot move. So there's many things that you can change and some things that you can
Yeah,
change
yeah, I
less.
think we have to like just see health and like the choices we make as an opportunity and
Yeah,
like not stress too much about it because you can't do it all
yeah.
and like it can't be perfect because it's not up to us. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and you had a great point also on the fact that, I mean, a lot of times you're on the go, you're traveling, but you still find ways to, yeah, to take healthier choices. How do you do that?
yeah, traveling it's hard,
Yeah,
especially like if you go on a flight or whatever. I try to like bring my own food often
yeah,
for the kids as well, like snacks and so on. And then like I have my tricks,
yeah,
like if you're like going on a road trip and you really have to like stop and there's nowhere but like a hamburger place or whatever,
yeah,
just try to like make the good choices and like
yeah,
whatever that could be like I know like can we say brands or companies or whatever?
yeah, I think
Okay,
it's fine.
so like Max Burgers, like
Yeah,
when I have to stop somewhere, I stop there, and then I go like for the kids, I go like gluten free. I add on like one meat, so they
yeah,
get more meat, and then I
yeah,
take away the fries, and then they get like the beans,
yeah,
and then it's not too bad, you know. So
yeah.
yeah, sometimes you just have to make the best of it. Like, yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Like I really share that. I also travel a lot
yeah,
and I cannot eat gluten. So sometimes you just need to live with what you have
yeah,
and
exactly.
try to find something. And I would say the most important is what you do in your basic routine,
Yeah,
Monday to Friday, you know, in your
exactly.
normal life. So it's also good not to stress too much about that one
No,
time that you have to travel or that one time that you're on the go.
exactly.
It's also fine
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can come a long time just bringing some like snacks, like veggie snacks or whatever also, and then you just go and yeah, have what
Yeah.
they offer, but then you have some add-ons like
Yeah.
that will make it a bit better.
In my journey, I've also been to that kind of extreme because when I started working with my diet and trying to reverse my eczema at the beginning, I saw great results and I
Yeah.
thought that diet impacted my symptoms so much. But then I became so anxious about it because once I understood that, I started feeling like I need to do everything perfect at all
Um,
times, otherwise, I will feel worse. And it put so much stress on me that I got worse.
yeah.
So I found that in my health journey, it's always important to try to improve, but at the same time, accept
Yeah.
also where I am and what I can possibly do.
You also have to live. And I
Yeah,
also think that
yeah,
if you put the effort in like most of the time,
yeah,
then you're also like more resilient to like eat
yes,
some bad things also
exactly.
because you're at a good baseline, so it won't
Yeah,
affect you as much.
yeah,
Like instead of like having like taking bad choices all the time, then you're not resilient, like you get sick easier and so on.
yeah,
But if you're doing healthy choices and then like one day you don't eat that good, I don't think that would affect you that
No,
much.
exactly. And that's exactly where I am now.
Yeah.
Now I can, enjoy occasions or, different types of things. I can eat basically anything and it will not affect me so much because in my day to day, I have good routines and I've had that for a really long time. So as you say, you build resilience because also in our body, especially in the microbiome, there's a lot of different bacteria that do the same things. So if some are a bit low, you have others.
Yeah.
So there's many systems in our body that are redundant or like they're overlapping in a way that do the same thing. So that's the most important thing I find. And I would say if we go back to the ALBA gut microbiome test, a lot of times we see parents that see some results that are not so great in their children, and they always ask us, "What did I?" But a lot of times, wrong really. And one of the things that we try to explain is that because of our society and food system, because we've been so exposed to antibiotics over the generations, it doesn't have to be your fault that you see that.
No. Sometimes you need to get antibiotics, and you can do anything about that. So
exactly. Actually, it can be life-saving and really important to take antibiotics. So it's nobody's fault, and it's not kind of something to be ashamed of. It's more of an opportunity to learn something new.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you then think? Then you also tried ALBA for your daughter.
Yeah.
And that was a different journey.
Yes. Yeah, so some bacteria looked the same as my son, but then it was like some good bacteria that she lacked. And it could be because of the antibiotics, because I mean, they live in the same house and they eat the same things. But of course, like that would wipe out some good bacteria. And I remember I was a bit stressed like when she was getting that, but she had an UVI, so I had no options. And I remember I gave her like a probiotic supplement during the time she got the antibiotics. But as you know, like you don't know which one she actually would need. So like it could be good, like it could add up, but you don't know for sure that's the one she needed. So when her test got back, I got like a suggestion of a good supplement that I could give to her. And then also like what foods to like put a little bit more into her diet and so on. So I could build up like the good bacteria again.
Yeah, exactly. Because antibiotics are a great technology basically because they saved so many lives and sometimes they're really, really needed. But they can wipe out the gut microbiome, and especially in children, that's really important. Like it has a lot of functions, so it can really disrupt the gut health, and it can be associated to problems later in life. So we really believe, and scientists really believe, that if we can limit that disruption, if we can restore the gut early on, perhaps we can lower all of those risks. And you did exactly the right thing, which is ideally you take a probiotic during the antibiotic. Not at the same time, so you can take the antibiotic and then after a few hours the probiotic. I've done it myself as well. I had to take antibiotics last year because I had a wisdom tooth and it was kind of bad. And I did that, and then I tested about 3 months later, and I saw the good bacteria were there, the ones from the probiotic. So that was so interesting to see it on myself. And that's what some of the things that we can see with ALBA, we can see afterwards how did that go. Because sometimes the gut is also restored, for example, even through breastfeeding. So there are some things that can repopulate the gut afterwards. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, of course, like with ALBA, we sometimes recommend a probiotic and also diet that boosts those kind of bacteria. So we really try to condense recommendations that are like, how can you repopulate the gut? Which bacteria do you need, and which foods boost them? How did you find that, and what was your experience there?
You mean from the result?
Yeah.
I had a chat like with your nutritionist. So she was like, this is what you should do to like improve the gut bacteria that she was lacking. So it was like even like with recipes and everything. So yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
Then you also know exactly what to do. Like as I said, like I knew that her gut was going to be affected, but I didn't know like how, because I can't look into her gut and see what's going on. But yeah, so that's really nice too. And I think like I'm amazed like with the test and everything. And I think, I mean, even like I did it like without having like problems with like my children's gut, but as you say, it's like it's so affecting so much other things that it's always good to like see like what's going on and is it something I can improve. And I think like everyone, it should be like taking a blood test. Like every children should do this, because I mean the time and the health that they like will save for the future. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
What were the most interesting findings in the results? Sometimes we associate, the gut microbiome to immune system, brain, metabolism, risk of allergy. What were the things that were most interesting for you?
I mean, I think all the different parts are like very interesting, and yeah, like seeing like if there's something, I mean, it could be special for one kid and or the other also. Like you don't know like if it's the same even with antibiotics or not, but like that you can actually see like what the result is, and then you like can get the personalized advice.
Yeah.
Because that is different than like I can do all the reading I want, but I can't see like what is specific for my son or for my daughter.
Yeah.
So that is like a key thing, I think. And then it's interesting for all the different areas. And I believe also like I mean, if your gut is happy, your kid is happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's like it's bigger than we think.
Yeah.
Like when you have like a stomachache, you can't function.
Yeah.
That is like one thing, like having kids, and I think every parents know this. Like you can be sick, you can have a fever, you can have whatever, and you just still manage to take care of the kids. But as soon as like when you have something with your stomach and like you start to throw up or whatever, like you're not a human being anymore. It's like you can't function. So I think like the gut is, yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, it's really important for everything.
Yeah.
Some people think it's just isolated to just the gut, but it's linked to so many things.
Yeah.
So one of the things we link it to in our report is the immune system.
Yeah.
And especially immune system development, because a lot of our immune system is in the gut, actually.
Yeah, it's like 70 or 80%, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's located there, and in children, these gut microbes help the immune system to develop.
Yeah.
So there was this great discovery that happened through many years, but there was like a great study from Karolinska Institute that showed that some bacteria train the immune system in children.
Yeah.
And if they are low, that's linked to higher inflammation, higher risk of allergies, eczema, asthma, and that's a very established topic.
Yeah.
One of the things that not a lot of people know is that these bacteria seem to be it seems like we are losing them, or we have less and less over the generations. So some studies suggest that.
Is it the Akkermansia?
It's the bifidobacteria.
Okay.
So the ones that are, they're linked also to metabolism and weight, also to brain and cognition, but the strongest is the immune system. Yeah. And that is one of the reasons also I started Alba, because I thought, that's crazy. I mean, we know that these bacteria are fundamental to build a strong immune system.
And losing it.
We're losing them, and so many people don't know about that. What does that mean? Does it mean that in next generation most people will have allergies? Well, allergies have been increasing they've doubled in the past 10 years. Yeah. So this could be linked, right? The gut microbiome and the allergy, rise. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, and also by having like you don't getting the right like fibers and like vegetables and everything, you can thinning the gut lining. You get a leaky gut, and it will affect your like your brain and mood and everything. And like I mean, who wants that for your kid, right? It's
exactly.
like that's also like super important. So
Yeah. Exactly. And it's, the gut is also linked to the brain, we touched upon earlier as well. It's a two-way communication. So the brain affects the gut affects the brain. But in children, it can also affect cognition and brain development in a way, right? Because also, especially in the first 3 years of life, is where we build the majority of our brain. So it's very important for that. It seems to be linked also to emotions and temper. Some kids are very much like fussy and screaming. They seem to have a different gut microbiome composition, which is super interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Some even say that our personality is linked to the gut as well. And the other thing it's linked to is metabolism and weight.
Yeah.
So it really seems that it could predict weight later life.
Yeah.
That's of course also very important.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's really good to know like early on, so you can prevent.
Yeah. I was just gonna check if there's any questions. If you guys have any questions, just write in the chat. And how did you think about joining Alba? When did you decide that and why?
After I did the test, I was like, I find it so like interesting, and I just have like, I always like when I meet like parents and so on, I always have a lot like to talk about, and just want everyone to know what I want. And then like when I started to like see what you do and like all the knowledge you have, like I just wanted to be a part of it and like spread it, because I think it's so important, and it can like make a big difference like for a lot of children. As I said, like not only of those that experience things now, but that you really can like make the best you can, like even for the future. And I think that is so important. And even for like those that maybe like they tried to like do healthier choices and so on, it could be like this thing that makes the difference, that like you can really see like what is going on and what can I do, because then you will also like put more effort into it, because like, okay, this can literally change my children's life. Because that is true, they can like, they will be healthier, more resilient, and like they won't get these like difficulties later in life. So I just wanted like, I have to be on this because it's so important. And as I said, I think it should be mandatory, like you should go to like BBC and like get this test done, because I mean, I think it could save like even like money, like if you think like in the, don't think about the children and the parents and the families, but like for the whole society. Because you don't have to deal with other things later on in life, and like the children will be thriving, and like you can see it from a bigger picture as well, and like see how important it is.
And also training about nutrition.
Yeah.
Because that's not necessarily obvious, or not everyone knows exactly what's good nutrition and how to take these healthier choices. It's not part of our healthcare.
No.
Almost at all.
No, not at all. And like you don't usually get that kind of knowledge from your parents either, because we're not like used to it. So that is something we talk about a lot at home. Like my kids are only 3 and 5, but we like say like, we don't say like this food is super bad, but we say like this food isn't so good for the body to have often. This is like something we can just do sometimes. And then like for the good things, we say like this make the body happy, you will feel like strong and have energy and so on. So they will also get that knowledge, and they would like understand like, okay, if I eat this, I become strong and I feel better off. And I think that is a good thing also to get early in life. So you understand that food is not just something you like get into just feel full. It's actually what are you giving your body so you can go out and run with your friends. Because it will make a big difference if they get like good food and they are out playing all day, or if they start with the sugary cereals, they would not feel the same. So I think that is also important to learn the kids early on. Like this is the energy for your body. It's like the fuel. Like you wouldn't take your car and just put like water in it. It wouldn't work. Like
Yeah.
So they make that connection early on as well. I think that is
I love that metaphor. This is such a nice way to explain it to them
yeah.
also. And I think, I mean, that should also be great once they start to take their own decisions, right?
Yeah.
Because at some point they will.
They would have it like in their head, like, okay, which
Exactly.
one would be the better?
Exactly. That sounds amazing. And what do you think about, because of course, I mean, we have great healthcare system, but it is a bit more focused on reacting on symptoms.
Yeah.
So you're sick, you go to the doctor and you fix it. And a lot of times you fix it not at a root cause, but more you try to handle the symptom and make
mask
that
the
go away.
symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
No, that is why I have such a big interest in this, because
Yeah.
I said like you can prevent things, and like you can test and you can see if I'm at the right way, like what can I do to make it even better.
Yeah.
Because I think like that is the biggest obstacle we have in healthcare, that we don't look at like the preventive healthcare.
Yeah.
We start acting like when we are sick or like too sick, instead of like, okay, what can we do to like build the biggest like defense system to not get sick in the first place.
Yeah.
And that is like what we need to change, I think.
That was exactly my journey. I mean, I started when I was actually quite sick. And the thing is that it's quite hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
Because then when you're very sick, I had a lot of food sensitivities. So it was very difficult to take good choices because I was allergic to so many things or sensitive to so many things. And then with eczema, I couldn't sleep that well because I was.
And you also don't have the energy to like where should you start, or like
exactly. And then when you feel like that, you're sleep deprived, you're feeling in pain, then you're also a bit depressed, and then you are not fully focused on how can I get out of it. So the more you get into these symptoms, the harder it is to dig yourself out of that. And also a lot of times the solution they give you is apply the cream, apply or take this medication. But then because you're not,
you won't get to the root cause then.
Because you're not really treating the root cause, you're progressing in the wrong way and you get like worse over time. At least that was what happened to me. So as much as you can avoid these problems, the better, because then you don't have all of those restrictions in your life.
No, I totally agree.
Now we actually also have at Alba, we also have a functional doctor. So on top of the test, we can have a consultation with a functional doctor, and functional doctor looks at the root cause of disease, so they can prescribe other tests as well.
No, that's
and
perfect.
that's more for kids that have symptoms, because sometimes there's other potential causes as well that we can look into.
But that is super important, because then you like take care of it like from the root. And
yeah, exactly. And now, so at Alba, you're now doing a lot of videos showing your life and showing what you do and how things are in your family. You gave us already some tips. What are some other tips or ideas that help you a lot?
So regarding like the food prep thing, I think it's good to always have some stuff at home, like always make that a habit. That is something you could easily cook, but it's still good. So that could be like whatever your preferences are, but that you have like a different setup of vegetables and eggs, and like something that is quick, so you don't have to like, okay, but today I don't have time, so today I have to pick up something that is not the best. Like you should have something that just takes like 5 minutes to make. And then also, as I said before, like bringing the kids to play around in the kitchen early on. I remember like when my daughter was like just 7 months or something, and I was cooking for her first like taste things. I had her like in a baby carrier thing because I was alone with her and I couldn't put her anywhere. And from that moment on, like they have always been with me in the kitchen and like prepared stuff and so on. So that is also like you can do, so it becomes like a family thing. So instead of putting that pressure, like, okay, I'm so stressed the kids are super hungry and so on, then you could like while you cook, you just have this like small like veggie sticks laying there so they can look whatever you're doing and so on. So it doesn't become stressful. It's instead it becomes something cozy. That is a good thing. And then also like prepare. So if you're going to have an early morning, you could do the breakfast the day before. You could do like overnight oats, or you could do like a banana egg pancake, and like you can prepare so it's just like done already in the morning. And same for like dinners and so on. You don't have to cook everything from scratch every time. And also like if you do like the potato thing and they are already cooked, they are even better for the gut health, right? Because the resistant starch will like become a different composition. Or
exactly. So potatoes that are cooked and then go in the fridge,
exactly,
they're better. They spike our blood glucose less, so they're even better. But I completely agree. That's also my biggest kind of hack. Because I find that if I don't have things prepared, then I get home and I'm busy and everything.
Then it's hard.
Then it's hard. Then it's the moment where okay, I need to eat out or like do something that is like not great. So for me, doing some meal prep, like maybe on the weekend or in the evenings is great. And it doesn't have to be a lot of work. I personally take a lot of different vegetables, put them in the oven, roast them, and that's it. Basically, you just need to chop them. Actually, I'm even quite lazy with that, so it's like even big pieces, and then I just put them in the oven, and you just wait, and they're done.
Exactly.
You can keep them.
I usually like I can do like have a lot of different veggies, and then I like chop them up, and then I have it like in a big thing in the refrigerator, and then I have this like steamer. So I just take out like a bunch of it and like steam it while I just like do the protein or whatever, and then as you say, then it doesn't take long. So
exactly,
preparation, and also like you could switch it up, like even if you meal prep and it would last for a couple of days, it doesn't have to be like the same dish. I mean, you can switch it up, and like if you have like meat that you can do it with sweet potatoes one day, the other day you could do like tacos. Like you can switch it up even if it's like the same base ingredients, so it doesn't have to be boring.
Exactly. And even if you don't have a steamer, you can still use like a normal pot, put a bit of water, put a lid on, not super high heat, and like with spinach is so fast. Like you can just put it in a pot and like in 5 minutes it's done.
Exactly.
So it's very simple sometimes. It doesn't, I think a lot of times we make it complicated, or like it seems like we need a lot of tools, or we need a lot of cooking skills, but basically all vegetables, almost all of them, like go in the oven. Besides like lettuce or something, it's like and then you put your favorite spices on it, and you can mix it, as you say, with different things. So those are my go-to. The other tip that we always give is to mix seeds and nuts and have like a little jar with all of those. Those are easy fiber, basically, to add to any
that's
dish.
perfect. It's also like a good taste to just add a little of it.
What do you do if I saw that you also started to introduce fermented foods? So not a lot of people think about them. Fermented foods have live bacteria. So they're great because they add bacteria to our gut directly. And those bacteria also produce a lot of substances that are good for our health. What do your kids think about fermented foods? Because they have a quite distinct taste.
In the beginning they weren't so fun about it, but it's starting to get better. And also like even if they're small, also by just telling them that this is really good for your belly, they were like, okay. So it's like when like I have to give them like paracetamol, like, and once it wasn't like that good taste, and they're like, but you will feel better. It's like the same thing, like, okay, then it's easier. So but then when they get used to the taste, they start to like it more and more. So I just think like with those flavors that are a bit harder, there's like no pressure, like
Yeah.
you can just taste it. Like in the beginning I was like, you can taste it and you can spit it out if you want to. Like that's the first step, because
Yeah.
it's like a distinct taste, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then they become a bit curious, and also like what I have noticed is like when they see that I eat it a lot,
Yeah.
they will also want to eat it.
Yeah.
So that is a good thing. Like even if they don't have it on their plate every time, a lot of times they're like, "Can I taste what you have on your plate?" And then
Yeah.
they will taste for me. That is also a good thing. And also it could be like if it's really hard, you can make up like a game, like every time you eat a bit of this, you get a star. And when you have like 10 stars, you could choose, like depending on your kid, you could choose what book you want to read, or you could choose a toy from the store next time or something like that.
Yeah.
So it also becomes like a little bit of like a competition, and they're like, "Oh, I made it!" And then you came like you have crossed the hard part of it, and eventually just hope that they will start to like it.
That's really smart, like gamifying parenting
Yeah.
food. That's really great. You also said that sometimes you maybe mix in those foods with something that they like.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I also actually do it myself
Yeah.
because I didn't grow up with those tastes at all. And I find, for example, sauerkraut very sour and not something I'm super used to, but I mix it, for example, with eggs because I know I like that. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like a lot
No.
either. How do you do it?
Yeah, as you say, you can mix it up with something else. And what I have done is like sometimes when I'm really in a rush, I have this like go-to dish that I do.
Yeah.
And then I have like I blend like oats and eggs and like carrots, and I fry it in a frying pan.
Yeah.
So it becomes like, I don't know how to say it. It's like not a pancake, but something like it.
Yeah.
And when I do those, I can like literally like put everything in, and they won't like notice too
Yeah.
much, because it blends really nice,
Yeah.
you know.
So,
And as you say, you don't have to put a lot of it in it, but
yeah.
then it's like achievable. And also like if you just mix it, like if you have done like I do like oat rice with like carrots and stuff, and then you have like a bit of soy sauce, and then you could put it in also and like mix it together.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like that distinct like flavor on it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you do? How do you handle, for example, birthdays, holidays, these kind of situations? Because of course, there's always cakes, pastries around, and sometimes it can be fine. How do you handle that?
I mean, like when we have had our own like birthday cakes and so on, they have actually preferred like getting like a pancake cake
Yeah.
thing. So that is super good, because then I choose like whatever's in, and then they have like cream on, and then like different berries and so on.
Yeah.
But then like if you go away, then
Yeah.
of course they would have to like they will taste the cake.
Yeah.
I think they didn't do it before they were like 3 years old.
Yeah.
But then now of course they will taste it, but they
Yeah.
know that that is like because it's a special thing, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to take that away from them either. Like you don't
No.
have to go
Yeah.
extreme.
Yeah.
So they know like this won't happen next week and next week and next
Yeah.
week, but now we're celebrating, and that's totally fine. So
Yeah.
I think you can't like be too hard on them, because that
Yeah.
will backfire.
Yeah.
And they also like if they see everyone else is having cake, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be that one like, okay, no, you can't have cake.
Yeah.
Because you can't. No, I just think you have to balance it out. It's more what you do day to day.
Yeah.
And like on special occasions, yeah, you just have to go.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because in the end, health is about, we're optimizing for our life
Yeah.
and happiness and our entire kind of health, which is also made by having happy moments and
Yeah.
having social moments and being part of something. So as you say, being too strict could backfire,
Yeah.
and really striving for perfection at all times could be negatives in
Yeah, and
situations.
also I think that they can be like become like more like towards sugar and so on if they
Yeah.
can't have anything.
Yeah.
It's better to make it like, yeah, we have it sometimes, but not so often.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. I think we are at time.
Right.
Oh, there was, did I miss some questions? Maybe there was one question. Maybe we'll reply in messages. Sorry, I forgot about it. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you.
We'll get back on the question then in the comments. And thanks so much. We'll be back in a few weeks with more lives.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.